What's up, Michigan? Welcome back to another episode of State Champs Hang Time. My name is Lorne Plant, joined by TJ Kelley, Scoop IPS himself. It is championship week, y'all. Quarterfinals in the book. We're going to talk about a few of those results here, and I've often said sometimes the quarterfinals matchup could be the best matchups and games of the entire week. Tuesday night did not disappoint, TJ?
Not disappointed at all, one bit. You saw what many maybe saw as a Cinderella in River Rouge, wind up losing to a strong North Farmington team. They finally go over the hump, and they get Orchard Lake St. Mary's, who's been at the top of at least state champs rankings for pretty much the entire year. They've had to meet in the district in the past in regionals, but yeah, everything has been fantastic and everything has been built up to be. I'm glad to talk about it in just a minute.
You got it. Now, for those of you, and I want to, we should have done this earlier in the season, so before we get into it, for those of you who don't know the work that you put into as it relates to high school basketball, AAU basketball, your connection with college coaches, can you just talk about that a little bit, just so they kind of understand where you're coming from?
Well, I've been fortunate back in the 20th century when everybody else was saying, don't talk to strangers and stuff like that. My parents kind of broke the mold on that. And, it was one of those things where as I started, I guess maybe a little bit later in the game than a lot of other people at 28 years old, 29. But I was out there to shake a lot of hands, meet a lot of people, not getting excited and saying, oh, yeah, this person gave me a call, this person gave me a call. Yeah, maybe for the first couple of instances. But then you really realize, all right, they're calling you for a purpose rather than your excitement.
And you mean coaches?
I mean college coaches. I'm talking about from Beeline to Izzo to Calipari to whoever it might be that I've crossed paths with over in the past. And when you realize that it's about fit for children or for the players,
Yes.
student prospects,
Yes.
where they're going to go play in college. Everything isn't. Everybody might want to go play for Michigan State, but they only have 2 or 3 scholarships per year. But understanding that this style might work better for over here, or you're a high academic student. Hey, you might want to go to Northwestern, a la Matt Nicholson, for example,
right.
From Clarkston. But yeah, I've been super fortunate over the years to meet tons of high school coaches, meet tons of grassroots coaches, and just I guess meeting the right people.
Right.
They say you can't hit the lottery if you don't buy a ticket, and so I've been fortunate to meet a lot of people, and not only that, spread the kids' word, or let's say this information about players so that they can go on and play on the next level.
And in order for you to be able to do that, you have to watch a lot of basketball, and you have to kind of get to know these student athletes, from a young level on up.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing in saying that you have to know these players. You also have to have an enormous amount of love and free time to go watch basketball, because it's hard to go to say to let's say your fiance, your wife, your girlfriend, hey, I'm about to go watch Tuesday hoops. Hey, I know it's Friday night.
Right.
I got to go watch some hoops.
And in the summer, you got to travel.
And I'm on the road every single. Let's say this, over COVID, that was the first time that over the spring and summer that I looked around on weekends and I said, hey, what's going on this weekend? Because all my friends, everybody that I know, family, they're saying, hey, we don't bother TJ during the weekends during the summer. We'll talk to him in August.
There you go. Just giving you a little perspective on the amount of basketball and hoops this man digests on an annual basis. So Thank you for that. All right, let's waste no more time. Let's get into some quarterfinals talk and get into 3 games that took place on Tuesday night. The first matchup took place at Holt High School. East Lansing came into the quarters, winning their 3rd regional title in 4 years. Ann Arbor Huron came in, really after battling. They beat Detroit Catholic Central by a digit, Wayne by 3. Sometimes, just sometimes, the confidence you get by, in some cases, finding victory, clutching victory in the throes of defeat, gives you all the confidence that you need. And wouldn't you know it, it's the River Rats that are moving on. They beat East Lansing 54-48.
And hats off to the River Rats. They did a fantastic job. A lot of these players, they know each other just because they're on the same travel teams.
Yeah.
This is a game that I wanted to put together in the Motor City Roundball Classic, and this is from the last summer. Then the brackets wound up coming, and they coming out, and they were like, hey, we might see each other in the quarterfinals, and so we're going to put that off to the edge. I would have loved to see this in December at Ferndale High School, but for those that are in Holt in the 5-1-7, they got to see a fantastic matchup. I mean, you've got Kelvin Torbert, let's say this, Kelvin Torbert Jr., number 2 right here, who's coming through with a bucket. You've got Cam Hudson, you've got JL Hudson, you've got, JL on the team, number 3 there. But, this is still a young team, and Christian Dunn is a senior, and Ray Mitchell at East Lansing does have a few seniors. But, hey, Ann Arbor Huron really showed up for this game. Makari Moore has been a standout. They've got tons of seniors on that team as well. And so maybe there was just that much more edge, just that extra year of experience that put Huron over and they're advancing to the, to the big stage where East Lansing's home pretty much.
Yes, so. No doubt about it. Well, out at U of D Mercy, it's hard to believe, but North Farmington was just coming off its first regional title since making the state finals way back in 2016. Now, if they were going to advance, it wasn't going to be easy because they had to meet a River Rouge team that had already taken down the defending state champs in Cass Tech in the regional semis. But the Raiders get it done, 62-51 victory over River Rouge.
Yeah, hats off to Todd Negocian. They stuck with their game plan. I thought the Rouge did a pretty good job of taking care of the ball. Were they going to flip the ball 20 times? Maybe that would have been North Farmington's game plan. But hats off to Tyler Spratt from North Farmington. He's headed to Cleveland State.
Right.
Had 25 points in the game. He was knocking down threes, shot the ball at a high clip yesterday in front of, 5,500 people. And so, again, a senior shows up. Here he is, number 3, knocking down it looks like a mid-range jumper there. Yep. But he wound up having a strong fourth quarter, having a strong first quarter. That fourth quarter really capped it off when Rouge did make their run. I think they got it down to 3 points, and then North Farmington wound up running off and having a solid win.
Yeah, and again, we talk about North Farmington every year, and every year for whatever reason they just don't find a way to get over the hump. They got over the hump. We'll see how far it takes them. We'll talk about that later in the show. In Division II, out at Hamilton High School, 2 teams that had gone up against one another back at the Cornerstone Holiday Classic. Talking about some of those games, Grand Rapids Christian, Grand Rapids Catholic Central getting together. Christian won convincingly back in mid-December. However, this was a different Cougars team since that time. Fat Brooks, fresh off becoming the new Mr. Basketball in the state of Michigan. Whatever you want to call it, maybe it's the Mr. Basketball curse. I don't know. I don't think there is one, but quite often the team with the new number 1 player in the state doesn't win a state title. Let's just say that. In this case, out in the quarters, Grand Rapids Christian wins 57-52.
And again, and hats off to Fat Brooks for winning Mr. Basketball.
No
Touche. Well deserved. Great 4-year career.
Yep.
And I'm just saying, just study the blueprint of those who are awarded in the Final Four,
right.
Final 5, and those who wind up winning Mr. Basketball. I think that the Free Press has been pretty consistent in awarding the Hallstrom Award.
Agreed.
Now going back to Grand Rapids Christian and Grand Rapids Catholic Central, I think this game to me reminded me a lot of what you saw in the Brother Rice Orchard Lake St. Mary's game, when you have, these teams really know each other. They played each other earlier in the season. I mean, they play each other pretty much every year.
Yeah.
And now when you get for the nitty and the gritty, when all the marbles are counted,
That's right.
and we've got our backs to the wall in these playoff games, is Jalen Owinga stepping in for a nice bucket here. Eric Taylor did a fantastic job of coaching this team. And then also let's point out to Nathan Johnson, and I think that every single year I bring up, there's always a senior who winds up stepping up and winds up going up to the Breslin Center and wind up having taking his team, putting them on their backs.
Yeah.
And that success usually carries over to a couple more scholarships that could be available. And we'll see if Nathan Johnson winds up pulling through this year. They've got a pretty strong chance of winning Division II. Yeah, they've got Warren Lincoln, who they already beat earlier in the year, and there's some other teams in there.
Yep.
But we'll find out.
We're going to get there.
Yeah, and so
we're going to get there. And
we're
going to talk about it.
All
right.
Powers, who I've mentioned, and then Chelsea. So
we're going to get there.
Yeah,
we're going to get there right now. Right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for TJ's prognostications on who's going to win not only the state semifinals, he's predicting the new champions of the world, or at least the state champs in all 4 divisions here in the great state of Michigan. Let's start in Division 4. 21-6 St. Ignace going up against 22-5 Wyoming Tri-Unity Christian, looking to get back to the finals for the second straight year, winners of 11 of their last 12.
Yeah, well, why don't we try Unity Christian? They pretty much speak for themselves when you're talking about Division 4 or Class D. Coach Keeler, I mean, he might as well have his own residence in the Breslin Center because he's been there for, long, well, in the 20th century. We'll
Lots
say it
of
like
years.
that. Not as long as Campy's been there, but they just had an article on him being. Congratulations to Oakland making it at 40 years for Campy being there as well.
No doubt.
I really like this matchup. I was able to say the Saints of St. Ignace make the trip down for the Motor City Round Ball. I really like Johnny Ingles. To me, he's one of, let's say this, if I had to look at the 4 teams there, I think that Johnny Ingles is probably the standout player there of all 4, from all 4 teams. Often we find in Division 4, Class D, whether it be Pierre Brooks, whether it be Brady Titus, that one player can be enough for them to
Evans back in the day.
Eric Evans back in the day. I know that's another shout out to Steve Hall plug right there. But going forward, it's one of those things where Ingles, they've done a good job of scheduling. Yeah, they're at the tip of the. Here we go, right here.
Yeah. They're way up there.
The last stop before the Mackinac Bridge.
That's right.
And so, I really like
take the ferry right from there.
Yes.
You like the Saints' chance in this one.
I really do like the Saints' chance here.
Okay, 25-2 Mount Pleasant Sacred Heart with their second Final Four in 4 years. 23-4 Allen Park Inner City Baptist just won their first regional in over a decade.
And you know what? The thing about this Allen Park Inner City Baptist, for the longest time, their biggest thorn, they're rocking their shoe, was Southfield Christian. Mark Kratz is the head coach there.
Right.
Remember you as the head coach there when he got to coach his sons.
Yep.
And now, obviously, they've graduated. I mean, they're graduated college now. But Mark Kratz, they do a fantastic job there. He's been there for quite a while. Obviously, Mount Pleasant Sacred Heart, they have some history there going back 15, 20 years ago when their last trip to the Breslin. And this one, I'm going to pick Allen Park Inner City Baptist just because I believe that, Kratz is holding off on this nice weather so that he can enjoy his time at Dearborn Country Club.
Well, there you go. All right, so the question is, who's winning the state title? The current state champs, Munising, sitting this one out because St. Ignace took them out.
Yeah, well, a heck of a shot there, and I'm going to go with St. Ignace. Again, I think that Johnny Ingles, I think that he's a scholarship player. He's 6'2". You could tell that he's a gym rat. He's going out there and taking care of business. Not only that, you could tell that his team, they put themselves in position, and they know who the best guy is, and he's one of those guys as far as communication. Hey, you go do what you got to do. Find yourself open. I didn't need to make that open shot. I needed to get the box out, and they have the guys that are making, doing the little things to, hey, they're obviously here for a reason. All
right, in Division 4, we've got St. Ignace holding up the crown. All right. In Division 3, 24-3, Niles Brandywine, second straight semifinals, taking on 25-2 McBain. Your thoughts?
I do like McBain. I just think that they might be a little bit young or maybe not as battle-tested as Niles Brandywine. Niles Brandywine, they got to play Riverview Gabriel Shard in the Motor City Round Ball Classic. They've also played Benton Harbor, which Benton Harbor's been in our top 25 pretty much the entire year. And if you look at strength of schedule, I just think that the twins that Niles Brandywine bring to the table, they're going to be tough to beat, and they are one of the better. I think that they can compete with a lot of Division II teams, and so here's Niles Brandywine, and I think they wind up, making a run to. Well, they'll be playing on Saturday.
Yeah, all right. 20-7 Detroit Old Redford just won their first ever quarters. 23-3 Riverview Gabriel Richard has been a team we've talked about a lot this season.
Yeah, no, hats off to Ray Reeves, the head coach at Old Redford, for turning this program around in a quick flash. Obviously, Old Redford had when you go to Mark Watts and some other guys that were on the team 4 or 5 years ago.
That's right.
But now since then, Ray Reeves has taken over as a head coach. And they've got some strong firepower. Kayshawn Mays wound up having the game-winning bucket last night. And then you look at Jaquan Stennis, who's one of the top sophomores in the class. And so we'll see how they match up against Riverview Gabriel Shard. I think that I do think that experience takes over in this game. Not only that, we talked about Charles Cage from the week before. I think that their height and their size, their guard play matches up very well with Old Redford. And in this one, I'm going to give the hats off to the Riverview Gabriel Shard, Chris Dyax.
Yes, the Pioneers.
The Pioneers.
They've been cruising this season, and again, just beat Lumen Christi, a team they battled, all season long, and big win for them. So, all right, who's winning the state title in Division III? The reigning champ, Flint Beecher, not invited to the party this year.
Well, I'd tell you what, Beecher was. I thought Beecher. I was watching a little bit of the clips, and I was truly waiting. I was like, the most exciting thing about Thursday is Marquise Gray, the head coach at Beecher, looking at all of us, the journalists, ready to ask questions, and he's going to scold each one of us for not having him in his rankings. Right. And we're like, yo, you're under 500. I know you forfeited games, and I know that in the past I've said I will never discontinue to have. Or I will always have Beecher in my rankings, in my top 25 rankings. I don't know why I didn't do it this year, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And but hats off to Beecher. Beecher is the program of the state, if you ask me.
Yeah, but we're gonna have a new champion in Division III.
We got a new champion.
So who's it gonna be?
I'm gonna take Riverview Gabriel Richard. They wound up beating Brandywine in the round ball by a couple points, and I think it's gonna be another tight game. Yeah,
it's nice that they have played together or played against each other before, so they do have some tape they can look at. That will be interesting. Okay, we move on. So by the way, Riverview Gabriel Richard, a Catholic squad, will be the state champions in Division III. In Division II, 22-5, Flint Powers Catholic. It's been over a decade since their last quarters appearance, let alone a Final Four. 22-4, Warren Lincoln just won their first regional ever, thus their first quarterfinal ever.
Yeah, and if you go to Warren Lincoln School, they have all-state awards for nothing but wrestlers. Right. It's something. Dating from the 70s, all the way to just a few years ago. But they've had all-state wrestling, and that's what they've all been. They've been known about that pretty much, since their conception of their school. Hats off to them. I hate playing basketball against wrestlers. This team is a little bit different. I wouldn't be surprised to see this game in the semifinal next year or even the final next year. I do think that Warren Lincoln has a little bit too much firepower for Flint Powers, even though they're very well coached, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to pick the Warren Lincoln Abes in this one.
All right, the Abes. Moving on to the state finals. In the other matchup in Division II, 25-2, Grand Rapids Christian will be taking on a 21 win. They've got 6 defeats, but 21 wins for Chelsea. Chelsea has won 17 of their last 18. Their only loss in that span was a 3-point loss to River Rouge.
Yeah, hats off to Andrea Cabana. Their first trip to the Breslin Center, or the first trip to the semifinals.
Yeah.
Jake Stevens talked about him last week, said that he had to have a huge game. Here he is, number 45. He's going down to North Georgia. He's going to be a stud, I think, in college. He is a stud right now in high school. For him to go for 35 and 15 in any game, nobody's going to bat an eye and say anything different just because he's that talented. You had Joey Cabana, who's one of the best unsigned seniors in the state, and now you've got some scoring on the outside.
Yeah.
And that could put them over the edge. Do I think that they beat Grand Rapids Christian? Not in this one. I just think that, the front court that Grand Rapids Christian has is just too strong. We talked about Nathan Johnson.
Yeah.
We talked about Jalen Winger earlier on in the program.
Yeah.
But I think that Grand Rapids Christian, Warren Lincoln are going to be it's going to be a rematch of what we saw in the 2K showcase. And Grand Rapids Christian, I think they pretty much handled that game pretty easily. So we'll see how this one goes on Saturday.
All right. So the question at hand, who's winning the state title? Another defending champion on the sidelines this season. Ferndale is not here.
Yeah. Ferndale had a fantastic season. You talked to Juan Rickman, and he's going to tell you this might be a little bit of a rebuilding year. And it was. They still wound up winning their districts, going on to regionals. But I do look for Ferndale to be there in the future. Sometimes it's just not your time. And I think that obviously we'll see them again. But yeah, hats off to everybody in Division II for doing what they've done. Obviously, had to do a lot to accomplish making that run to the Breslins.
Can Warren Lincoln beat Grand Rapids Christian?
Yeah. Yeah, I like Grand Rapids Christian's, Warren Lincoln's guard play a little bit more than Grand Rapids Christian, even though I do give the nod to Grand Rapids Christian's front court. I think that it's going to be about taking care of the ball. It's going to be about just coming down to the end. Do I think that everybody's going to be on the edge of their seats in the final 2 minutes of this game? Without a doubt, without a doubt. That's how good I think. Actually, that's how good I think this entire tournament is.
Yeah.
And I think the Breslin Center is going to be rocking this weekend.
Yeah. So the Abes get over.
Yep. Abe's Warren Lincoln. Waddell Henry gets to raise his first hardware as a head coach. He's an assistant at Detroit Pershing quite a few years ago, in 2009, when they won their state title.
Yes.
So, it's nice to have your own, though.
All right, let's move on to Division I. 25-1 Orchard Lake St. Mary's, unlike everybody else, is back in the Final Four for a second straight year. Wyoming Tri-Unity Christian also, they got to the finals. Beat Brother Rice 3 times this season. 4 times.
Quattro.
2,
3.
So,
4.
right, you're right. So, just doing that in itself to get here has got to give them a super amount of confidence. Ann Arbor Huron, though, has been stepping up. Yep. They've got 22 wins this season. How do you see this one playing out?
I think that Orchard Lake St. Mary's, I'm not going to – just because of their Catholic League or anything like that. I think they're destined to win it this year. I think that their mindset is there. They were strictly business out on the court. Yeah, did they let it go after the game, for 10 or 15 minutes after the game? But I guarantee a half an hour after that game, they were back on point.
Right.
They were in the stands. They were watching the Riverview Rouge North Farmington game, depending on who their next opponent is or who they might wind up seeing, on Saturday on the state tournament. And I'm not discounting Ann Arbor Huron. I just think that Orchard Lake St. Mary's has a little bit too much firepower, even though I love Macari Moore, and I'm going to love this Macari Moore-Trey McKinney matchup. Okay.
It's going to be excellent. And bless you, sir. Bless you. All right, let's move on to the next matchup in Division I. 20-7 Zeeland West had lost to Muskegon twice, and it wasn't close before beating them on Tuesday, so kudos to the Ducks. Now they take on a 23-2 North Farmington team.
Yeah, hats off to Coach Klein. They did a fantastic job of getting his guys there. I just think the mental preparation of when you're going and meeting up a team with you're going up against a team that's handily beats you twice.
Yeah.
And then you've got to go in there. You got to get your guys' mind right.
Yeah.
And say, hey, this is a new day. This is a new season. Hey, let's come out here and play them. Let's show what we've really got. I think the other thing is they've got a lot of seniors on that Zeeland West team, led by Merritt Alderink. Nice pass there underneath. Yep. They were able to hang on. I'm looking at the score. I'm like, oh, wow, Zeeland West, they've got a pretty nice lead, double digits here in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And then here comes Muskegon, and they're chipping away, wind up taking a 1-point lead, and then Zeeland West bounced back. Now, if these guys were if the Zeeland West crew, if they were freshmen, sophomores, or juniors, I wouldn't necessarily expect that, or let's say just underclassmen.
Right.
But I just think that one of those things where that experience will will you to wins, where not only that allow you to focus on some things and also allow you to forget some things like double-digit losses earlier in the season in Muskegon. And we also talked about it in the past, obviously, Orchard Lake St. Mary's beating Brother Rice 4 times, but it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a season.
You're right.
And you get to study, you get to know them that much better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, he goes and does this. You pick up on different tendencies where, all right, he can't go left or he can't go right, or whenever they're passing up on this pick and roll. Just the little subtleties of the game where if you know your opponent that much more, and that's with the case, I think, in Zeeland West, and hats off to them, Coach Klein and all their crew.
Question will be, who will win the state title? Because again, the current state champs, Cass Tech, going to have to sit in the stands or watch on TV to find out who will wear the heavyweight belt.
Right, they need a big chain. You know what I'm saying? If they had a big chain with a big trophy there, put a little notch right on the top of it. You know what I'm saying? Put a string or something like that to hook it up. But in this one, I think that Orchard Lake St. Mary's, they're just rolling. They've been a thorn in the side of North Farmington, whether it be districts. I'm glad that that they do mix it up every now and then, so they do have the opportunity of when you have teams that have met in districts and regionals in the past. Now they get to go all the way and play against each other. I think that North Farmington, they've been top 10, if not top 5 in state champs rankings the entire season. And unfortunately, Orchard Lake St. Mary's is just that much better. I really like their front court. Hats off to Robert Smith. Hats off to Dylan Smith, Landon Williams, Tyler Spratt as well.
Because we've seen upsets in the state title, because again, it comes down to moments, side outs, you know what I mean? That a play here, a steal here makes. What if North Farmington gets to the state championship game, a place that, it's been a number of years since they've been there, and they unfortunately didn't win the last time they were there. What would they have to do in order to take out an Eaglet team this powerful, this focused? How do you rattle a team like that and find your way to get over the top?
I think they'd have to find a way for Amari Hardy to get some eligibility. He graduated from UNLV a few years ago, but I'm just as much as I like this North Farmington. It's going to be a tough road to hoe,
what you're saying. Somebody's going to have to come out of the woodwork and just play unbelievable.
You're going to need one of the seniors to come out there and just go gangbusters and just start hitting threes. I think we saw that when Orchard Lake St. Mary's in the game that they played in their first district. I believe it was their first game of district when they came out, and I think it was one of the players from Walled Lake Central wound up coming out and hitting 5 threes.
Right,
I think North Farmington's going to need that, to kind of jumpstart. At least be able to have a lead, a double digit, or not a double digit lead, but a double possession lead, and so they can kind of. Take some time off the clock and settle in, because Orchard Lake St. Mary's, they can get up and down. They've got multiple guys who can handle the ball. So do I look at it as far as North Farmington's pressure that's going to beat them? I think that's going to be tough, just because they've got them at 3 guards with Division I offers. They're all juniors, and I'm just going to say it right now, Orchard Lake St. Mary's again next year.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, if you've not experienced the Final Four in any division at the Breslin Center, do yourself a favor. Get down there. Check it out. It's worth it. It's awesome. The environment is electric. And quite often you're going to see something that you're going to be like, I don't know if I've ever seen that before. And you're going to get a feeling of elation, euphoria. It's really what high school basketball is all about. And the environment is just so rich. And again, hats off to these teams who made it, because, again, regardless if you get to the state finals, getting to the Final Four is a huge accomplishment. We'll do another show where we'll talk about the state champions next week. But again, it's as you think about this season and the teams that are left, it's been a fun ride, because it's really been hard to call this year.
It's been tough. I don't know how many. I think maybe I've had 3 different number 1 teams. Yeah. There's some teams that I projected very high that didn't wind up making it.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens.
It
happens. I wants to know the Powerball numbers. If I was that good.
Yeah.
I
want to know.
Yeah, exactly. 37. But yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. Hats off to a fantastic season by all the teams, all the players in the MHSAA. Not only that, all the people behind the scenes. I think referees are overlooked. The guys who are doing the clock. Let's say this, and I will also say this, please. For those that are different schools and stuff like that, find somebody that can go to the athletic director and say, hey, I hear you need somebody to run your shot clock. Hey, how much are you paying? $25 a game? All right, I'm live right around the corner. I can be there for those games. I just think that would be huge, because so much of high school basketball, high school sports, dealing with the youth, it's about volunteering your time as an adult just to make it that much more exciting and make it the best opportunities for the kids. And I think that the MHSAA did a great job this year. They did a great job by expanding by 2 games. Let's see if we get 35 seconds or 45 seconds on the shot clock.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for this week. Congratulations to all the teams who advanced to the Final Four. It's championship week, the most exciting week in high school basketball. Hope you get out there and enjoy it. Congratulations, Fat Brooks, for becoming the reigning Michigan's Mr. Basketball. Just a huge honor. You'll hold that title wherever you go. Congratulations and good luck to you in the future, young man. And TJ, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
State Champs Hang Time is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Be curious, make magic. Hang Time is also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The Michigan Army National Guard, proud partner of the MHSAA. And the Detroit Athletic Club Foundation Athlete of the Year Award applications now being accepted until March 31st, 2024 for the male and female athletes of the year. Download the application today at dacathleteoftheyear.com. You cannot be nominated if you don't apply.